my name is Talia. Welcome to Talia Nerds Out. I got tagged by my mom, Marlisha Muses, for the childhood books tag. I am looking off screen toward the paper that has the prompt questions on it. This tag looks like it was created by Fantastic Magical. I will have that information down below, as well as once I post this, I'll put the prompts up as well. Now, while I am going to be answering these questions, I will be doing some work on my book journal. I did want to get some materials out before I turn the camera downward to look at what I'm going to be working at. So I have out my stamps for my star ratings for several of the books I have not rated in the book journal yet. I have my ink that I'll bring up when I want it. In here I have some washi tape this is my washi tape bag. So if I decide I want to pull in washi tape for a new for new book journal entry, I can do that. Also, I'm gonna bend over here. Let me see if I can turn the camera down a little bit. Also down here, there's the end of the zipper. Also down here, I have some of my stamps. I wanted to get a specific set of stamps out because I know I'm gonna want it for this particular thing. I'm not sure if it's in here though or not. I think it is. Oh yeah, there it is. My vintage pharmacy stamp set, and I'll show you what I intend to use this for when I get to it. Let's see, do I want anything else from here? No, I think that will be all that I want from this particular bag, so I can close this up, put my washi tape bag back in place, and get started on the actual book journaling and on the childhood books tag. And please let me know if you guys enjoy this idea of a little bit more of an informal video every once in a while where I do something like a book tag or something a little bit more chatty while I work on something like book journaling. So if this is something that you enjoyed, there won't be most likely a music intro for this kind of video. There most likely won't be a special there most likely won't be a special edited thumbnail. It'll probably be just a picture stolen from the video or one taken after the fact that kind of fits the video, but none of my normal editing. So if I decide to continue doing these videos, these will be my pared down, like, oh yeah, I just kind of felt like doing a video, but not really putting any thought into it kind of thing. Okay, so with that being said, I have the stamps that I wanted to get out. I have them out. So I'm going to turn the camera downward. So you're going to mostly be seeing my hands now. So let me go ahead and kind of move this off to the side. Whoopsie. Let's see if that's going to be, I wonder if I'm going to need to, hang on guys, let me move this up again. I think I need to adjust the base of this maybe. So there's going to be a little bit of movement. I'm sorry if I'm making you guys a little seasick because there we go. That might be a little bit better. You might be able to see more. Maybe. Give me half a second. This is one of the downsides of not really planning this is I didn't really think through what would be the best angle. Blah. So let's lock that down. And let me think. Let's turn. I need to give myself a wider base back there. Okay, I think that's better. Okay, I just didn't give myself a wide enough base initially. Sorry about the noise. I had to move my mouse. Okay. So I think that fixed the problem. So as I was talking about, gonna get some work done on my book journal. Since the last time we talked, and actually I still want to move my mouse. Let me find a different place to put that so it's not in my way. Over there. Okay. So the last time that we talked, I was working on getting things cut out for the persuasion book journal entry. And as you can see, that got finished. Maybe a bit busier than I initially intended to. I'm not going to write like I usually do, some kind of review, because this is a frequent reread. I don't really need some review information for this. I really just wanted to have fun with it. But I do want to put a star rating in here somewhere. So I'm going to look through my star rating stamps to pick out the one I like best. I also have a couple of other reviews that need a star rating stamp on them. I think Dr. Rush does. I do need to write a review still for Dr. Rush, or for just Rush rather, Stephen Fried. So I'm going to pick a stamp for that first. And I think that I'm going to go with a darker stamp color for that. Just going to go with black, simple black ink, I think. So, yeah. Oh, and I am going to be drinking, I have with me Hojika. And when I don't feel like I'm going to be risking getting it on my paper, I will be drinking every once in a while from my Hojika or from my water off to the side. But now that I've got the ink that I'm going to work with, let me pick a stamp. And then I will start at least answering the first prompt. So I'm thinking maybe I'll just go with the simple black. I mean, I'm going with black, but maybe just go with the simple, normal, like stars. Normal, simple star rating. And I think maybe then what I'll do is I'll color it in using... I have these kind of markers that I like using for when I want to color in a stamp. And they're put out by the same people who do my highlighters that I like. So the brand is called Zebra, and it's Zebra Midliners. One end is more like a normal marker, and the other end, this particular one, this is the one that's not a highlighter set. This side is like a brush, like more of a brush kind of, allows for more fine work. And it isn't as hard. So I use this for coloring in my stamps. Whereas when I'm actually highlighting a book, it's a highlighter on one end, and like while still using the highlighter ink on the other end, I can write a note with it if I choose to. I am going to bring this angle up a smidge so I can see a little bit, a little bit better what I'm doing. Let me lock this down. Okay. So I think, though, I haven't decided yet if I'm going to go with the blue for I think I'll probably go with the blue rather than the marigold for when I color in the stars. I believe that this was a 5-star book when I rated it. I really enjoyed this book. Okay, though, so because that's what I decided to go with, I'm just going to go ahead and actually, maybe I won't go with black ink. Maybe I'll grab one of my other colors. Maybe I'll just go with blue. So while I'm looking for my ink color, so this is a childhood books tag, and the first prompt is, were you a big reader as a child? And I know this has come up with other tags, and I absolutely was. Sorry for the noise with the bags. I have all my ink in these little baggies, so that way the top falls off, it won't be a big deal. But anyway, yes, I have always been a big reader. I guess that's just a one-word answer, because the other questions will go farther into that. I do want to say that I was not necessarily like much of an outdoors kid. I kind of had to be kicked outside. I was far happier if I had my book with me. I wasn't a particularly sporty kid. So when I was at my happiest, I generally had a book. And I don't know if being homeschooled helped with that even more, or if it was partially just, a personality thing. Okay, so I'm using this blue. And I think that I will put this stamp right over. I'm going to place this right up here. So, yes. So I was definitely a big reader as a child. That was probably the main way I spent my free time out of choice. Reading was something that was highly encouraged in my family. Okay, and I'm going to use this brush end of this zebra pen like I talked about. Now, number 2 for that prompt, the question is, did your parents read to you? And if so, what? Now, when my sister and I were little, both my parents read to me, or read to both of us quite a bit, because my sister and I are only 2 years apart. Well, my mom would say, let's say 14 months, 16 months, whatever she says. Regardless, it's 2 years. But we aren't very far apart in age, so generally we could enjoy a lot of the same books when we were growing up, pretty much, at least until I developmentally started passing her up, because my sister is developmentally delayed, and so after a certain point I began bypassing her, just in more than just like maturity, but just in developmental growth. She stayed a child mentally, emotionally, maturity, and I grew past her, which is of course its own challenge. But yeah, my parents did read to us together, especially when we were at the same level or close to the same level developmentally. And after we started homeschooling, that gives me this for this page. I'm going to turn page and think about what stamp to do for the next one. Once my sister and I started homeschooling, then my dad took over for reading to us. And it was a way to be able to spend time with us in a very personal way after he got home from work. Because, my mom was with us all day homeschooling. My dad got to have the special time with us at night. So that was, I just want to make sure on the stamp I want to use for this particular page. So I have very fond memories of my dad reading to my sister and I. And actually, he ended up reading to us quite a bit past what is considered normal, because it was just a really nice father-daughter bonding experience. So he was reading to us to the point where I think the latest was when I was about maybe 13, 14. I remember him reading Of Mice and Men and The Pearl, so Steinbeck. And I want to say like those are the last 2 things I remember him doing. And then, life got busy. I think his work ended up moving a little bit more away from home. And of course, my schoolwork would have picked up too. And then by the time I would have hit June, besides the fact that, he had already stopped by the time I hit junior year of high school, but then I was working night shift a little bit later on. It didn't become that much of a feasible thing anymore, but we kept it up quite a bit longer than most families did. And I'm really glad that we had that experience. Now, I do think that, maybe I don't know how much of what was going on Of Mice and Men and The Pearl, went over my sister's head. And I'm pretty sure that if I was to reread those books again myself, I would probably get more out of them. But I didn't necessarily, Steinbeck wasn't my favorite. It's a very dark read, and I'm not sure I would choose to revisit Steinbeck. But I'm glad that I did have the experience with those stories. particularly of Mice and Men, even though that was a very difficult and actually rather a bold choice on his part to choose that particular book. Where is my library card for the Silmarillion? What did I do with that? It's not still in the book. I should probably figure out where that is. Or I'll have to restamp that. Huh, that's concerning. Okay, I had to figure out eventually what I did with that Silmarillion library card. Anyway, I think I'm going to go with the blue ink again, and I'm going to use this flame for my stamp. And I think that, I'm going to put it down here. I think right by one of the sons of Feanor. Where did my Silmarillion library card go to? I don't really feel like writing that out again. Well, if I have to write it out again, you guys will get to see that process. I just don't know what I would have done with it. Unless I was trying to let the library card, like, pocket dry. Okay, so now number 3. Oh, specific books. Oh, that didn't take very well at all. Specific books that I remember my parents reading. Well, I mentioned of Mice and Men, and I mentioned of the Pearl. My dad also did the what's it called? That was the rest of the story. Can't remember the actual name of the book. Also, the Book of Virtues. And then I think, like, even though I know we read them by ourselves as well, I feel like he might have read his Encyclopedia Brown. Now, when we were younger, although I'm sure that I was read Dr. Seuss, what I remember best were things like The Velveteen Rabbit, Corduroy Bear, that kind of thing. Okay. So there's that right there. Okay. Now, number 4 is be honest. Did you read books assigned to you in school? I always read the books assigned to me in school. That was never my problem. My problem was reading the whole book at the beginning of the school year and then dawdling over that book for the rest of the year because I didn't feel like writing the paper or doing the test. Should I do the crowns for the Three Musketeers? I kind of feel like I should do the crowns for the Three Musketeers. I think I might do the black ink for it and then, like, color around it. So, although I kind of feel like maybe for that I want to go the colored pencil. Hang on, guys. You're going to hear some noise because I have a feeling this is going to cause stuff to fall. Let me move things around a bit. But I'm sorry. To go on with answering the question. What was the question I was answering? Oh, did I read the books assigned to me in school? Yes, I read the books assigned to me in school. I would read them at the beginning of the school year, and then I would spend the rest of the year dawdling over that because I didn't feel like writing the paper or taking the test or whatever the case might be. I did that one year for a history book, like for that quarter's history book. I just read it like within the first couple weeks of school, and that's why I got caught one time reading Murder, She Wrote in between the pages of my history book because I had already read the history book and I just didn't feel like doing the rest of the work yet. So I think I'll put the crown stamp here. And I read, I want to say the first week I read A Tale of Two Cities. And I took the rest of the quarter to eventually get around to writing the report. I think I waited till the last possible moment to write the report. But let me get my colored pencils out. Oh, I can't remember what I rated this. Yeah, I don't remember what I rated this book. Or this comic. I think I gave it, okay, I'm not sure what I rated this. I'll have to go back and color this because I can't check on my phone. But when I do it, I'm going to be using this color. This is absolute 0. I think that's the color I want to use. Let me see exactly what that looks like. Oh, that's lighter than I thought it was. I'm not sure if I want that color after all. Let's see. I have this really cool case. It has all my colored pencils in it. Let's see. What's this color? That's just plain blue. Is this the absolute 0 again? Yes, it is. How about this one? True blue. Let's see what true blue looks like. Oh, that's close. Let's see what blue, just plain blue is. True blue and blue are really close. Okay, this one is blue bolts. Oh, I want blue bolts. I think I'll be using blue bolts. Okay. Okay, so yes. I think I beat that question down into submission. Yeah, there's never been a time that I have not read the book that I was assigned. That was actually the part I liked about school, was the reading. I didn't like so much, other aspects of it, but reading, absolutely, 100%. I could read all the books. Okay. Number 5 is, where did you get your books as a child? Well, I think I can at least color in the first crown here, because I know I at least gave this a 1 star. Just so that way I remember what color I planned on using for this. Just watch me forget that that's what I intended. Okay. Guys, what should I use for persuasion star rating? And by the way, isn't this washi tape kind of cool? It's supposed to be like for Regency, so it's supposed to be like, there's your quill, there's your stamp for like when you stamp the edge of a letter to, like close an envelope. So I thought that was particularly apropos for the important closing letter of the book. Or I guess it's not really closing, but you know what I'm saying. If you read the book, you know what I'm saying. I think, do I have small hearts? I swear I will get back to focus on the question. I just want to choose my stamp. So I don't want stars necessarily. I kind of want hearts. But I think my only hearts are a little bigger than what I'd like them to be. There's stars again. I don't want chili peppers. Okay, so I guess that I will end up either going with small stars or, yeah, because I don't have space for any of the bigger things. And I don't want to take a huge amount of attention away. I think I might just sort of shove my little star onto the library card because I really don't want to take away all the work that I've done over here. Okay. And I think I want something subtle, and I think that I'll go with like either lavender or pink for the colored pencil. Okay, so let me also grab what ink I intend to use, and then I can focus on the question like I'm supposed to. I think I'll grab this purple as my ink. Okay. Where did you get your books as a child? So we kept books on hand. We always had books at hand. And we also always were in the library. Always, always. Whatever base library there happened to be. I think I over-inked the side of this. Hold on. That's going to leave a weird mark on my paper. So, because I don't want to over ink my, there. So we were always in the library, whichever base we were at. And then we also were always in bookstores, used bookstores particularly. Okay, I think I saturated that enough. Now let me wipe the wood again. So it was a mixture of owning books, usually used books, and going to libraries. I'm going to put this stamp here. Number 6. Did you watch any television meant to inspire reading? As in, like, was a television that we were given to watch meant to inspire reading, or did the television I watched inspire reading? We didn't watch television that much as kids. Like, we had things we watched, but we went through, decent periods of times. We would go through years at a time where we didn't have a TV. So, and that was choice. My mom in particular didn't like having a TV all the time in the house as a distraction. She preferred to have us outside and or reading. So while there were things that on and off through the years I would have watched, that also would have been things that I read, I didn't have as much as maybe some kids did, as in a variety of things. This seems like it needs to be sharper. Now, I do remember, like, for a short period of time in England, when one of the things that we both read and watched, we happened to have both books, or we find books in the library or own books, if I can't remember which, but we also liked the TV show of, and that was the My Little Ponies. So that would have been in the 90s. If you remember what, like, the My Little Ponies looked at in that era, they were, the My Little Ponies that my sister and I grew up were probably the coolest ones, I think. I think the ones now kind of look creepy, but that could also just be, bias on my part. I kind of feel like I should, this is going to, there we go. Let's take some of the wetness off of that stamp. Okay, there we go. But yeah, that's one of the main things I can think of where I would have read the book and watched. In the case of My Little Pony, it's a TV show. I don't remember if they actually had movies, but I know they at least had 1 or 2 books. Other than that, I can't think of a lot of things until I would have been older that I would have been watching something and then reading it. We just didn't watch a lot of TV. Let's see. Number 7. What sorts of genres or storylines did you like? Okay, so my first love has always been mysteries. And the first series that I got into, like, that I really, really got into, was I'm just trying to make sure I don't need to do anything else here. Okay, I'm going to move this off to the side. The first series that I really got into was The Boxcar Children. And that was a mystery series, definitely meant for children. Oh, my cutting board is where? There it is. Okay. Definitely meant for children. And I really enjoyed that series. Then I moved on. I did some Nancy Drew. I did some Hardy Boys. But for me, it was mostly Boxcar Children until I was about 10, and I switched over to Agatha Christie. But I mean, I did do the things like Encyclopedia Brown, What are some of the other ones? I know there were other mystery ones I enjoyed. I did a little bit of Trixie Belden. Very few of the Bobbsey twins. Mostly, though, it was, yeah, usually I read mysteries as a genre. I can't think of much outside of mysteries until I got older. I was pretty much primarily pretty much a mystery person until I was an adult. Maybe I can say probably about teenage years, I think I started reading some sci-fi. So that would have been when I picked up the Star Wars extended universe novels. And that's also when I would have picked up Timothy Zahn's works. This is where I'm going to be using my vintage pharmacy stamp kit for the Poisoner's Handbook. Look. Okay, guys. Ooh. Let's see. I want to have, I think, the beakers here. Maybe I should cut some things out first. But I'm kind of thinking I want to use the beakers. Maybe this, I can't think of the name right now. Because this is a thermometer here that also could be used. Maybe the scalpel. I thought there's one that said poison on it. Oh, I have one that says poison on it. Just not here. Maybe I should find my poison stamp as well. So, let me close that. Before I start cutting, so yeah, that, I pretty much had, I didn't have a whole wide variety of genres that I read until later. By choice. At least not for my preferred fun reading. Now, I am looking off to the side. Not that you can really tell, but I'm looking off to the side because I'm trying to get my stamps that are related to, I know I have one that says poison on it. I just have to find where I put that particular one. That one has to do with reading. There's poison. Caution poison. Maybe I'll keep evidence as well. I don't think crime, I think this is too early for crime tape. Because this is Poisoner's Handbook. This would have been, I think this was the 1920s that this book is set, if I remember correctly. 1920s might even be a bit late. Okay. Alrighty. So let me at least start going to cutting because I'm not quite done with the questions because I've been distractible. So, favorite children's or picture book? Now, I will probably have to say the Velveteen Rabbit. That was a longtime favorite of mine. I also really enjoyed Are You My Mother? Which had a little bird asking all these random different, things around him if that was his mother, because he lost his mother. I think he fell out of the nest or something. Cute little brown bird. And then the other one I really remember liking was the Corduroy Bear. But those are the three that I really remember, liking as like children's picture book kind of thing. Favorite chapter or big kids book? Well, I think that I gave you an idea when I was still talking about kids books. It would have been things like, anything Boxcar Children, at least until I graduated to something that wasn't a kid's book anymore, which would have been Agatha Christie. And I graduated to that pretty early on, just because my grandmother gave me Hercule Poirot's Christmas when I was around 10, 11, I guess it would have been around Christmas time or my birthday. So at that point, no more Boxcar Children, no more many kids books. I pretty much was devoted to Agatha Christie stuff. So I guess to say a favorite chapter or big kids book would have been, you know, anything Boxcar Children at that point, because then I wasn't reading kids books pretty much. And then favorite children's series. Well, this is a bit repetitive. Favorite children's series. That's where, once again, I end up saying the Boxcar Children when I was a kid. That one, you know, because after that it would have been anything Agatha Christie. Even though it did go over my head, you know, I'm quite certain. Alrighty, so that is it for the childhood books tag. That feels like it was a bit all over the place, a bit rambly, partially because I kept distracting myself. But if you find that this kind of disjointed crafting video is something that you enjoy, hold on, let me bring up the camera since this tag part is over. Hi. So if you find that this kind of video where I'm doing the crafting is something that you enjoy, then I can definitely do more of these in the future. In case you weren't able to see very well, when I was actually working on it, I did get several stamps placed, so got one for Rush. I still need to write the review for that book. I need to find what in the world I did with my library card for the Silmarillion. That's a little annoying. Then I wonder. No, that's for Austin. Well, that's annoying. Okay, I'll take a look. Then I have here, oh, is this stuck? I mean, not that it matters, I'm not going to read this book again, but, you know, it'd be nice not to have this stuck. Okay, there we go. So I need to finish coloring the stars for the Alexandre Dumas comic. I don't own this anymore, which is why I won't be reading this again, but I still felt like doing it. And then Annotated Persuasion, which that I can go ahead and post on Instagram. Same thing with the Silmarillion once I find the library card and see what in the world I did with that, or write another one. You know, let me, while I'm still on here, see if I can find, there's only one other place where I could have put that library card. And if it's not there, I know that I need to rewrite it. And I can do that with you guys here so you can see the process I go through. So let me shove this to the side. Shove this to the side. Whoop, all fall down. Not this box. This box. Because I should have, yeah, I don't see it there. Let me check my other box. Tolkien. Teresa of Avila. That's the Unfinished Tales. Okay. So yes, I need to write a library card for Tolkien. For the to be stamped, and I can do that. I wonder if I accidentally threw it away. I bet that's what happened. And I can at least write the card, and then I'll stamp it after I check. Well, I know I started it, I want to say I started July 1st. It's really annoying that I did lose that, but it took me pretty much the whole month to finish it, so I feel pretty safe to stamp it with its being the full month. So let me grab from my bag. I'm going to turn this downward again. Alrighty. Let me grab a library catalog card. Now, normally, I would actually have to go through my book where I have all my Dewey Decimal codes and stuff that I printed out. So I have this nice cheat list where I go through all the different codes. I have the same thing for the Library of Congress code, so I can figure that out. But I don't have to do that because I already have in my book journal the upside down. I already have in the book journal my library card. Oh, well, that's not helpful. I just did thick on this one. Although, if I wanted to match, I should probably stick to that. Now, because this is a work of literature, if I wanted to be completely accurate, like as in literature, like... Oh, I can just pull the Baron Luthien one. Do I have Baron Luthien here? Baron Luthien. Okay. So that would be 813 Tolkien. So 813, I probably went with, that was probably fiction English is my guess. Alrighty, and then TOL. And this will be Tolkien JRR, and then Tolkien Christopher, and I'm just going to put in parentheses, editor. Okay. And this is the Silmarillion. Oh, you know, I can't stamp it because I'll have to stamp it afterwards because I was remembering the dates that I started and finished the Silmarillion. Those are not the same dates I started and finished. I remember the dates I started and finished Baron Luthien. Those are not the same dates I started and finished the Silmarillion. So, but I'm going to bring this back up again. So this is library card. I will be stamping it. I have no idea what I did with the library card that actually belongs in here. It's kind of annoying. But this is the stamp that I use. And I'm not actually sure what the farthest it goes in years. Let's see. There's 2027, 2029, 2030. So at least goes to 2020. At least goes to 2030, if not farther than that. And it's one of your nice pre-inked. And I have the ability to change out this little ink thing. But because I'm not sure when I read this exactly, I'm going to look at my Storygraph details, see the dates that I read it, and then I'll stamp this then. Of course, it'd be easier if I could just find the original library card, but that's not going to happen. So that'll be done afterwards. But thank you very much for joining me for this disjointed video. I will be throwing this up there. Sorry this is so long. I will see you for the next one. God bless. Bye.